You're listening to Indications by the Conference Board.
Welcome to the Conference Board's Indications podcast. Indications is a public podcast featuring our global roster of thought leaders. Topics range from economic growth and competitiveness to human capital, governance, sustainability, and beyond. Each episode is a serious conversation grounded in data and insights that will keep you ahead of the curve in a turbulent world. I am here with my colleague Lynn Franco, Senior Director of Economic Indicators and Surveys at the Conference Board. Welcome, Lynn. It's always great to speak with you.
Great to be back.
So let's discuss the most recent consumer confidence survey. Consumer confidence surged to the best reading that we've seen in a year. What were some of the notable developments in the report?
I think what's worth noting is that the increase was very widespread in terms of how consumers are rating the present situation. We had a 20-point increase, so that really tells us that the current health of the economy is good. And expectations also picked up by almost 19 points. So, expectations are that the economy and employment are going to continue to increase over the coming months, all of which bodes well not only for confidence, but for consumer spending as well.
Well, I noticed that expectations were rosier, and that's after many months of moving sideways. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, we actually had a big improvement in the percentage of consumers who expect business conditions to improve over the coming 6 months, and a big jump in those who expect more jobs as well. So I think that's a pretty good combination, not only for economic growth, which we see really picking up steam in the third and fourth quarter of this year, but also just for confidence in consumer spending.
So what did the data tell us about the vaccine effect on confidence?
Well, we're seeing that sort of the concerns that consumers had expressed about the pandemic seem to be subsiding as the vaccine program accelerates. I think that's also helping to diminish consumers' concerns. And that combined with the stimulus is really one of the reasons why we're seeing spending pick up as more and more consumers are now sort of leaving the house.
Do you think that the data also reflect easing mobility restrictions?
Absolutely. I think what we're going to see now and going forward is a pickup in travel and dining out and consumers, visiting the malls. So all sort of a combination of both greater vaccination and stimulus dollars.
On that note, talk to us a little bit about buying plans.
Well, we've seen a very good pickup, I think, in purchasing intentions. In particular, more consumers say that they intend to purchase an auto, and we've seen a pretty big spike in home purchasing intentions, which I think we've seen reflected earlier this morning in some of the home price data that we have seen, which shows that prices continue to accelerate, and we expect this trend to continue through the spring and well into the summer.
Did we see any differentiation in sentiment by age or income level?
Absolutely. Obviously, I think consumers in sort of the less affluent brackets saw increases, but not as significant as those in the upper income brackets. Now, part of the survey was probably before consumers began to actually receive the stimulus check, so this could change in the coming month. And, age-wise, we've just seen a vast improvement across the board. Both in 35 to 54-year-olds, 55 and over, and even under 35. So I think that bodes well for consumer confidence.
What about by state or region? Were there any interesting findings there?
I think here what we're seeing also is that, it's very widespread, which then translates into sustainability in the long run. In Texas, Illinois, and Florida, we saw consumer confidence increase by more than 33 points. In New York, Michigan, and California by more than 14 points. So it's very broad-based and practically across every single region and state in the country.
Finally, one-year inflation expectations rose to a 10-year high. What do you think are the drivers of this increase?
Well, yes, we're at a 10-year high in terms of inflation expectations, and that's most likely due to gas prices. We know they've been ticking up at the pump, and that's one sign of inflation that seems to resonate with consumers.
Indeed, it certainly is resonating with me. Well, Lynn, thank you so much for your great insights as always. This has been Indications from the Conference Board. If you enjoyed this podcast, you may listen to additional TCB offerings by going to www.conference-board.org/podcast or find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much again for listening.
This has been Indications from the Conference Board.